Hello, this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel. From the time I started doing these videos about 3 years ago, in fact, it was 3 years ago in December, I think December 8th or something like that. Anyways, I've been doing these videos. People say, John, where's the best place to be when shit is hitting the fan? Where should I go? What should we do? Right? Where? Location, location, location. And this has started some of the best and most productive conversations and debates that YouTube has on shit hitting the fan. You know, where to be? Is it personal taste, or is there really a place that is most advisable? Well, you know, I've lived I've lived in the Bay Area in California, over in the Sacramento, and then the Sierra foothills. I've lived up and around the Sierra Nevadas all over. I've been on the East Coast, down south in the LA Basin and San Diego. I've been around a little bit and been to Florida, you know, just been everywhere, but I've gotten a good look at this nation. And I've gotten a good look at the people. I've been around a lot of people, kind of realized exactly how screwy they all can be. So, you know, where do you want to be? I think it's based on the question, what your personal tolerances are. What is your personal tolerance for temperature, for the amount of people you want to be around? You know, people represent the single greatest threat. If there's going to be societal collapse, chaos, people are your single greatest threat. If you eliminate people out of the equation, the next thing that's going to get you is nature. Nature itself will get you. So that gives us an idea. All of us have an idea. Where do you want to be? And I'd like to talk to all the subscribers, especially those of you who like to comment. And if you would like to be a first-time commenter, you know, this is the first time, tell us what you think if you feel strongly enough about it. But I have an idea where the most dangerous places are to be in this country, as well as the most agreeable. And again, a lot of it depends on personal tolerance and your knowledge of the area. You know, one of the biggest questions that has been spawned by the where do you need to be when shit hits the fan? One of the biggest questions has been urban or rural. Rural, out in the country, or urban, in the cities. Where do you want to be when shit hits the fan, when shit is done hitting the fan and you're into the post-collapse environment? Where do you want to be? Where should you be? Where is the best place to be to guarantee survival? Those are the questions we want to ask, right? And it's been broken down from just urban and rural to urban and suburban, and also rural and then remote. Remote meaning hell and gone, you know, 2-3 hours from any major metropolis. You know that those people out in those remote areas, and this country has a lot of them, they stand the best chance of not having people, which is the single biggest threat, get to them. And they also have the single best chance of being ignored the longest if there's any sort of sustainable recovery, economic or social or otherwise. Personally, I've enjoyed rural living, small cities, the best. There is some anonymity to it, but not total anonymity. And that's just for day-to-day life. But when I like to think of shit hitting the fan, and I think about it an awful lot, I want to know where the best place to be is. So, you know, I do not like places like the entire eastern seaboard. And there's areas along the eastern seaboard that are not heavily populated, like a serious urban center. And then there's a lot of places that really are very, very dangerous. There's a lot of area along the Gulf Coast that I believe are very hospitable and habitable and will provide a good place to live. But it's a type of environment that will eat you alive. So you may not have the problem that people have or present, but you're going to have a whole lot of other things. So I guess I could pull out the map and I can point to it and we can have a couple good laughs. Take a peek around at the good old US of A. I got a couple different colors here. Couple different colors. I feel like Bob Ross. A little bit of purple and blue and red. I'm gonna smoke a doob. There we go. There's a picture of the good old US of A. Let's start with what I know about the old East Coast. Okay, got the whole East Coast here. I consider the entire eastern seaboard a disaster. Lots of people. A lot of people who live inland think they can go fishing for a living while the shit is hitting the fan. They're going to be there. Heavily populated, danger zone to me. Anything in red here, like the entire southern end of Florida, up here around Orlando, some of the Pensacola area on the Panhandle, danger zones, right? There's our good old buddies, New Orleans. Here's the Dallas, middle of Texas. What a fucking mess that's going to be when shit hits the fan. Up here in the center, there's probably going to be some crazy shit with Denver, people gathering there. Over here, this is an area that I didn't realize was so crazy, and that's the old Salt Lake City, Provo, Utah gathering point. Over here in California, you got the Bay Area, the Coastal Range, the entire Central Valley. That is Death Ride 5000, right? The LA Basin, that is going to be a smorgasbord of hell when shit hits the fan. Down here in San Diego, you got Las Vegas is going to be completely and totally fucked. They lost the recipe for water. They don't have any water. Portland, SeaTac. We got some of the state capitals and larger cities throughout. Up in the Great Lakes area, everywhere there, death and mayhem as far as I'm concerned. Anywhere there's a major city, you don't want to be there when shit hits the fan. You don't want to be there while shit is hitting the fan, and even afterwards. Canada, you don't want to be anywhere near Canada. It's full of cannibals. They had to change the name from cannibal to Canada so that they could get a seat on the UN. So you don't want to go to Canada. Not a lot there for you. Mexico, once again, skull and crossbones in Mexico. That's dangerous down there. They like white meat. You guys go there, they're going to eat you. Oh, boy. Anyways, all along the Mexican border, when shit hits the fan, I see as a veritable danger zone. Now, that is not to say within any area here, including Canada, right, there are going to be pockets of delight when shit hits the fan. There's going to be areas where the people are going to be great, where there's going to be plentiful resources. For some reason, whatever these weird reasons are, a warehouse full of food. Who knows where these places are going to be at? But they're going to be there, and you have to realize that, that's just the way it is, and you're not going to know about it unless you happen to be there. You're going to think, this ain't so bad. Didn't need to listen to that John guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I did this area here in blue. This area, maybe 100 miles inland or 200 miles along the Gulf Coast. And I put it in blue because I believe that the amount of wildlife and food there is going to sustain a lot of people. There's a lot of natural habitat. It doesn't have a lot of population. There's going to be areas within it that are completely and total danger zones, but for the most part, I think you can live in those areas. The climate is not bad. Other areas like up north, it is just miserable cold in the winter. And during shit hits the fan, if you don't stay warm, right, you're dead. If you don't have the right clothing, you're dead. You're going to burn a lot more calories up north than you are down south. Burning calories to stay warm during the winter. It's going to be harder to live. Right? So I think the area along the Mexican border is going to be bad. There's going to be a lot of confusion and chaos. Not a good place to be. But I will say there's a lot of smart mofos in New Mexico, Arizona, down in southern Nevada, and all through this area. Everywhere I have green down here in the south. Let me give some kind of ad hoc Mason-Dixon line. There we go. Everywhere that's green south of that purple line, I think that's going to be pretty good living as far as the climate goes. There's going to be good areas that you're going to be safe. You're going to be out of the urban zone. The only problem I see with you making it out of an urban area if you want to go rural is there's going to be other people have the same idea. And there's going to be people, let's say this nice little area right here on the west side of the Appalachians. Let's do that. And there's this zone right here. It's really good, has lots of nice lakes in it, rivers. It never gets snow in the winter. It's a nice, comfortable climate. Humidity's not too bad in the summer. You want to go there. Well, there's a good chance a lot of other people have heard about that area. And then what about the people that already live there? Think they're going to be happy about you showing up and another couple 100,000 people showing up? That's the problem with going someplace that others already occupy. You know, these areas that are in green, everywhere here. Let me make this the Rocky Mountains. Okay, everywhere west of the Rockies into this green zone, that's high desert. In the winter, it's desperately cold. In the summer, it's dry as fuck. There's a lot of water in that desert. This myth of deserts being without water, that comes from someplace else. There's a lot of rivers that run through here. There's lots and lots of rivers and places that water goes, but there's not a lot of trees. There's not a lot of wildlife. As a result, there's just not a lot to eat there. So if people were to flock there, you know, you're going to have a hell of a time sustaining yourself up in this northwest quadrant. All the green areas are good to be in because they're low population density. They do have some growing zones for farming, agriculture. There is some wildlife, but you can't count on that. Very rough zone. Let's take a look at this zone down here. We talked about this one. This green zone in here, east of the Rockies. Good climate. A lot of relatively low population density. But also a lot of people that don't want you to be there if that's not your home. It is more heavily populated than out west, this quadrant down here. You're going to have a lot more social interaction issues down in the south. That's just my opinion. Up north here, through the Dakotas and then Minnesota and Wisconsin, the north, and then all the way, I would say, through this section here. I don't know what we want to call that, the Ohio Valley and everything west of the Appalachians. It's also going to be very, very cold in the winter. There are areas that have good natural resources, good times to grow things, but there's a lot of population, a lot more density up in there. People are not going to be happy to see you. And I guess I'm painting a pretty gruesome picture. I'm talking about don't be here, don't be there, that's okay, but, you know, this isn't good, and they'll eat you up north, and up here, you know, you can only eat so much beaver, you know, and it's going to be up around the Great Lakes, you're screwed. Basically, I think I've laid it out. When shit hits the fan, you're screwed. There's really no place to go that's any good. Yeah, let's go with that. There's really no place to go that's any good. You've got to decide for yourself. Whatever place you have in mind. When shit hits the fan, can you make it from where you're at to where you want to be? When you get there, do you have a place to be? Or are you going to be sharing it with 1,000 other people? Or are the people that already live there going to want to kill you? Right? Are you prepared for the environment, the climate that you're going to be in? With clothing and with food? When you get there, if you manage to live through the first 3 months of shit hits the fan and you get to the post-collapse environment, the PCE, when you get to there, are you going to be able to survive long term? Because let's face it, we can all only store so much food for so long. And if you're going to bug out to some other location, you can only take so much food with you. You know, so what are you going to do? You know, that is your choice to make. Where do you want to be? Where not to be when shit hits the fan? Being in the cities? Not a lot of gardens there, not that'll support millions of people. Not a lot of wildlife. I imagine the most common meal that's going to be had after the month and a half of shitting the fan is going to be this meat called long pork. Not a pretty picture. So I recommend really sitting down and putting pen to paper. And I really would recommend this. Put on one side ideal and unideal. Put down 2 or 3, maybe 4 places you think would be the best bets for you, the best places to go. And then break it down the other way. Which one is the most likely you can get to in a serious emergency? Be realistic about roadblocks. Be realistic about what people are going to do. Are you going to be allowed to travel, or are people going to stop you and turn you back and keep you out of their neck of the woods, in a manner of speaking? You know, are you going to go to an area where you're familiar with both the area, or are you going to go to a place that you really don't know all that well? You know, perhaps you're from the country and you've got a hometown where everyone would recognize you. That might be good. But then again, if you were to go back there, people might think you're a city slicker, and therefore unknowledgeable about anything useful. And they would have nothing to do with you and make your life all the more difficult because of it. Where you don't want to be is everywhere. And where you want to be is likely going to be nowhere when shit hits the fan. You're not going to want anything to do with it. I don't care how hard you are militarily. After a week of that shit, you're going to be tired of it. There's a reason that Marines and soldiers come in out of the field. You can't stay out there forever. It sucks. You've got to come back in. When shit hits the fan, you really can't come back in. So the best you can do, the best I can do, the best any of us can do is find an area that is most suitable to the living conditions you want to live under, the population density you can best estimate that you're comfortable with. And then think about long-term food, continuing food. Those are all things that we need to think about. But the best place to live, where is the ideal shit it's the fan location? You know, that's up to you. Okay, this is John. Subscribe, hit that button. Hit the share button, share with friends and family. Tell friends and family. Send URLs to my videos and the videos of other shit it's a fan preparedness type videos that you think others around you need to hear. Take the burden off your own shoulders and put it on mine. They're pretty broad. I can carry the weight. People want to call preppers lunatics. Let them call me a lunatic. You just sent the link. You can just say, hey, thought it'd be pretty good information for you to have. The reason I keep saying that at the end of these videos, you know, send them here, is because even if they just prep a little bit, once they start, they'll see the value of it. And when an emergency happens, you may be saving other people's lives by recommending they come here and go to other channels where they can get good advice. And that's really all we can do, is give each other some good advice and then take action. So subscribe to the channel. Click thumbs up. Click on the advertisers if you want to help contribute to my lifestyle. You know, every little bit everyone makes helps. Every little thing I learn on here comes in handy. So my biggest thanks goes out to people who comment, people who reach out and help others, and that's you guys. The success of this channel comes from the subscribers and comes from the commenters. The more subscribers this channel has, the more likely others are going to come here because they think it's popular and therefore they can learn something. It's good, it's reputable. Same thing with videos that have a lot of likes. The more clicks I get on every video, the more they'll show up and the more likely people are going to do it. So if you pass this information on to others, they'll click and the numbers will go up. And at the very least, more people will come here and be able to learn from the comments and learn from the content. And that's really what I'm doing here. That's the purpose of all this, why I've done it for 3 years, why I've been a prepper since the 80s. why I joined the Marine Corps was to help others, to defend this nation, to defend the Constitution and freedom. Freedom. If we don't straighten this nation out, it's going to fall. And it looks like it's going to fall. And if it's going to fall, it'll fall really hard. And I'm going to explain that in an upcoming video called Entitlements. Entitled Entitlements. Anyways, this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel. I want to say Godspeed to you. Semper Fi. And chance favors the prepared mind.